Your cybersecurity solution is here. Introducing Pentester's Advanced Cybersecurity Suite. Ready for peace of mind? Try it for free. No credit card required. Pentester.com.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Ruggiano Jr. I want to welcome everybody to Reform Gangsters. And if you like the content, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. Also, check out my Patreon. I got a lot of really good new content on there, some interesting surveys and contests. So check it out. Memberships start at $1. And also check out my store. I got some new merch. I got some shirts and hats and mugs. So check it out. So today, I've been getting a lot of stuff about Jimmy Hoffa. About what happened to him and who might have killed him and a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't have no intimate knowledge of it, but I do have some information about it. And who Jimmy Hoffa was, as we all know, he was the head of the Teamsters Union. He pretty much started it. Nobody really knows what happened to him. All they know is that he disappeared in 1975. Alleged mob hit, which definitely was. The case still remains unsolved. Nobody still ever found his body. I don't think anybody's ever going to find his body except by accident, because I believe that the people that were involved in it are probably all dead now of old age because it happened so many years ago. I mean, it happened almost 50. I mean, he disappeared 48 years ago. So, a lot of people want to know who killed Hoffa. The mob killed Hoffa. I mean, that's simple as that. I mean, it was a mob conspiracy. So what I understand about Hoffa is this is what happened. This is from what Tony Lee and my father, Andy, told me about what happened. They were very good friends with Tony Pro. From other things, from construction business, because Tony Pro was a teamster. He was a delegate. So they had some intimate dealings with them. What happened, what they told me what happened was that when he got out of prison, he wanted to be president again, and he was told to step down and keep his pension, just like in the movies, and he refused to do it because he was an egomaniac, and he hated the Kennedys, and he didn't want to step down, and he was whacked because they didn't want him. He was he would have brought too much heat to them. As far as people that were involved, so there's a couple of names that keep getting thrown around, like Tony Pro. So I have a little story. Tony Pro definitely was in on it. He was definitely in on the conspiracy. He was a big thing in the Teamsters. He was big with Hoffa, as like in the movie. You know, the movie The Irishman, some of it was true, some of it wasn't. I don't think Ed Sheeran, who was a suspect, was in on it. I think that's all bullshit. Because we would have heard about that many, many times. I don't think he's the guy that killed Joe Colombo, Crazy Joe, in Umberto's. I think that's bullshit. You know what I mean? That's just Hollywood. I know there was a non-Italian in on that hit, but I don't believe it was him. Another name that keeps getting thrown around is Sammy the Bull. Sammy the Bull definitely had nothing to do with it. He would have told me. You know what I mean? Like, it would have came out by now. If Sammy had anything to do with it, and he talks about it all the time, he might have had knowledge of it. A lot of people, I'm sure, had knowledge of it that were wise guys, but they were not in on it. The Iceman, he was a serial killer. He was a contract killer for the mob. He was involved with the Westies, the Irish gang from the Hell's Kitchen. How do I know that? Because I was friends with one of the Westies, and he told me they did business with the Iceman. Sammy the Bull did business with the Iceman. So he was definitely a contract killer. Was he in on the Hoffa hit? I doubt it. I doubt it very much. Tony Pro definitely was in on it. I mean, he's the first number one suspect. And it's funny because I have a story. I have a Tony Pro story, and I said it once before, but I'll say it again. In 1979, I was in Elmira State Prison, and and I put in a transfer to go to Arthur Kill State Prison, which was in Staten Island, and I wanted to get closer to home. So now the day came for me to be transferred, and they took me from Elmira State Prison. They bused me down to Greenhaven State Prison in transit. They put me in a cell in transit, and I knew that Tony Pro was in Greenhaven at the time because he went to prison for when Hoffa disappeared. They all got arrested for unrelated crimes due to the Teamster Union, and Tony Pro also got arrested for murder in New York State, which he was convicted of. So he was doing life in New York State. He was doing time in Greenhaven. Unbeknownst to me, the next day I get on the bus to get that transfer to Arthur Kill, and I'm sitting on the bus and there's an empty seat next to me. Oh no, excuse me. I'm sorry, forgive me. I got on the bus and he was already on the bus and he's sitting in a seat, right? And I saw him and I recognized him, and I'm walking down the bus and he went like this to me, like to sit next to him, because I guess he saw I was Italian, and I don't know. Maybe he thought I looked like Fat Andy, but he told me sit next to him, and I sat next to him, and I told him, hey, nice to meet you, Tony. I'm Anthony. I'm Fat Andy's son. He goes, oh, your father's a good friend of mine. I said, I know who you are. He was getting transferred too. He had got in trouble in Greenhaven. He actually had a cell that he lived in, and he had an empty cell next to him, and he had all foods and stuff in. So he was paying off somebody to have like a cell for storage. So they shipped him out of there. And I don't remember where he was going. When I sat next to him, we started bullshit. And listen, it was on the tip of my tongue to ask him what happened to Hoffa. Like I just couldn't get it out. Like I just couldn't bring myself to it. Like it was in my brain, but it wouldn't come out of my mouth. It was like one of them things. And like I'm talking to him, but I'm thinking Hoffa while I'm talking to him, and I'm talking about everything but that, but that's in my brain. And I just couldn't, not that he would have told me, of course he would have. And he might have got to know. I just didn't, I didn't ask him, but it was like killing me, and they took me to Arthur Kill, and I said goodbye to him. And then, of course, I never saw him again. After that, he passed away in prison. But that's my Tony Pro story. But out of all the suspects that they talk about, he's the only one that actually had something to do with it. I actually went to the spot where Hoffa disappeared. When I was living in Michigan, in Detroit, Metro Detroit area, my friends from Michigan took me to I believe it was called the Red Fox Inn, and we went there before they closed. They're closed now. It's something else now. But I actually went there and ate there before they closed it down, and where he actually disappeared from. But that was all mob stuff. I don't think anybody's ever going to find out the truth. They just keep throwing names around, and people keep on making deathbed confessions, and I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to be solved. Not that it's ever going to. We all know who did it. We all know the mob did it. I mean, that's a fact. What members of the mob did it, that's debatable. But it was definitely a mob hit. It was definitely sanctioned by the commission. He was just a figure, a big figure, a lightning rod, really. I mean, it's funny in the mob because I know of a lot of millionaires, legitimate millionaires, that because they wanted power, they disappeared. And he's one of them. My old man used to tell me that power is addicting. Like I would say to him, why does this guy who has millions and millions of dollars want to be a captain or a boss? Why don't he just relax? And he used to tell me that power is addictive. And that's what it is. They want power. And that's why Hoffa didn't want to give up the power, which he should have. He should have just went home and enjoyed his grandkids with all the money. He was going to get his pension and everything, and he didn't want to. And that was the end of him.
Out of these three choices, where do you think, if you had to guess, where do you think Hoffa's body is? Buried in the landfill, murdered and cremated in some way, or buried in the Meadowlands? If you had to pick one.
Well, I'm gonna pick two. I'm gonna pick the last one with the barrels, that he was in that place with the barrels, the last one in Jersey, or he was cremated somewhere. He was thrown in the furnace. I think those are the only two options. I don't think they're ever gonna find him. I think the people that were involved in it or know where it is are long gone. And I think that, they may stumble across his body at some point, but I don't think so. And they're never going to find out who pulled the trigger. That's never going to happen. So let me know. I'm curious to know what you think of who killed Hoffa. So let me know in the comments what your opinion is.
Tony Pro. Everybody knows Tony Pro from the most recent movie, The Irishman. What was he like in person? What kind of like energy or character did he have?
I mean, I only met him once on the prison bus, but he was, very sharp, good looking, charismatic, dangerous, a killer. He was everything a wise guy's supposed to be. So on September 27th, we're going to have a screening of Goodfellas and a discussion. We're going to talk about my personal relationships with the characters that were in the movie. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be held in the studio in Long Island. And if you're interested in attending, please contact us at my email, Anthony Ruggiano Jr. @gmail.com, and we'll try to accommodate you. So on September 19th, we're going to have a Goodfellas watch party online. So please tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun.
David asked the question. Let's see. Russell Buffalino was involved. Have you heard anything about that?
Russell Buffalino was definitely involved. I mean, he was a big player in the Teamsters Union. I knew him good. We used to go to his Christmas party every year up in Pittston. My father's whole crew, we would all go. As a matter of fact, the last time I went to his last Christmas party that I ever attended up there, Tony Bennett sang. I mean, so it was in like a big place. He had like a big, not an arena, but like a really big catering place. And Tony Bennett, I was shocked. And Tony Bennett, put on a show. But he was definitely involved. That part of the movie, The Irishman with De Niro and Pesci, pretty much he was a big player in that, a big player in the Teamsters Union. He was a powerful mob boss with a lot of money. He had a lot of money.
I've heard when I was growing up, my grandmother's uncle was involved with bootlegging in the coal region area, and he mentioned Russell Buffalino. Now, I have no idea. He's probably just a low-level guy. I don't know. But I've heard his name a few times when I was growing up. And I guess this is more of a comment than a question. I've always found that theory interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it was an interesting time. I mean, Russell Buffalino was a he was a very powerful guy. I mean, from Pittston, he had a lot of money, he had a lot of say on the commission. He was a big thing with the Teamsters. I mean, that part of that movie was pretty accurate with Russell, with Buffalino. I mean, he was good friends with us. And I always, like I said, every Christmas, like in the 70s, in the early 70s, we used to go up there every year for his Christmas party. He had a nephew named Charlie that was with us. And when the books opened in the 70s, he asked my father to transfer Charlie back to him because Charlie was his nephew when he was born in New York. And my father transferred Charlie back to him, and they actually made Charlie in Pittston. Yeah, Charlie Looney was the guy's name. That was his nickname. Yeah, but yeah, he definitely had a hand in Hoffa, without a doubt. He had a hand in it. I mean, they all did. The whole commission had a hand in it. You couldn't kill a guy like Hoffa without the commission's okay. I mean, that was it.
I haven't actually seen The Irishman yet, so it's worth watching. I've heard a lot of good things.
Yeah, no, it's definitely entertaining. I mean, there's some truth in it. Most of it's bullshit, but there's some truth in it. It's entertaining. It's very well acted. I mean, it tells a good story about Hoffa and his relationship with Tony Pro, and they like each other, which is all true. Russell Buffalino has a big part in it, but I mean, that's about it. I don't believe Sheenan is the guy that killed Hoffa, was the guy that shot him. I mean, I don't believe that. That probably would have came out if it was true many, many years ago. So I don't think anybody's ever going to solve that mystery. I think everybody that's involved in it is probably dead by now or 100 years old.
Yeah. So so I know Russell Buffalino controlled Northeast Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And then you had Angelo Bruno at the time in Philly?
Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia and South Jersey.
And then I assume they worked together just like the five families in New York going back and forth, or did it work similarly in Pennsylvania?
No, they were separate, two separate families. But everybody did business together, but they were two separate families.
Yeah.
They were two separate. He had an underboss. I forgot his underboss's name. I remember his underboss had a mustache, and I was a little surprised when I first met I think his underboss's name was Dave. And I was a little surprised because the first time I went up there and, my father introduced me to him, and then later on told me that was the underboss. And he had a mustache because in New York, facial hair was like frowned upon, so.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a picture of a mob guy with a mustache.
No, they had them. I mean, even I met wise guys from New Orleans that had goatees. I guess it's just a New York thing that about mustaches going back to the mustache beats back in the day.
Oh, right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, listen, try to come to the studio. We'll be there.
Yeah.
December 27th.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, be good.
And
yeah,
I heard somebody say this morning that the Jets have a Super Bowl team.
Jets, today's opening day, baby. Go Jets. I don't know if they got a Super Bowl team, but I think they're going to be in the mix. I think they're going to get, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, I think they'll be a playoff team. Whether they could get past Kansas City is another story. I think they got a good shot to win the division. I think Buffalo lost a lot of players. I don't think they're going to be there. I think if they could get past Miami, they may win the division if everybody stays healthy. You got it. The AFC is tough. You got Cleveland. You got Cincinnati. You got a lot of tough teams, a lot of great quarterbacks. But we'll see. We'll see.
Who do you like?
I'm betting tonight. I'm betting Kansas City tonight -3 or -2.5. It's -2.5 on the Hard Rock bet. The Indians, the Seminole Indians, got it -2.5. It's legal now. I went to jail for it, but that's okay. It's legal now. I got a 2 to 4 for bookmaking, but now the Indians do it. It's okay. They don't get no 2 to 4s. They just grab all the money. So I'm gonna take Kansas City tonight, and I'm gonna go tomorrow. I'm gonna take a shot. I'm stepping out. I like Green Bay and Philly +3. I like Green Bay and Philly tomorrow. That's my 2 picks for Thursday and Friday. Kansas City tonight and Green Bay tomorrow night, because now they have football on Fridays. They don't, so they just want to keep grabbing money.
What about Jets Niners?
I don't bet. I don't bet the Jets. I'm a fan. Like I don't bet the Yankees. I'm a fan. I'm going to be rooting for the Jets. It's going to be it's a tough opening game. I tell you that. It's going to really tell you what they're made of. Opening day in San Francisco on the road against a team that went to the Super Bowl. So that's going to be an interesting game. I mean, I would love to see the Jets win it, but we'll see. But I don't bet on Jet games. I just root like a fan. You have to keep something, just keep something normal, and just like root like a regular person,
Who was the biggest gambler you knew?
Oh my God. The biggest gambler I knew, John Gotti was a tremendous gambler. I mean, he would bet 20,000 on a game. I mean, I was with him one night. He bet 20,000 on a fight. I think it was a Sugar Ray Leonard fight. I mean, I met a lot of big gamblers. I mean, he was a big gambler. Tony Lee was a big gambler. My father's partner was a big gambler, but not sports. Dice. He loved dice. I knew this other guy, Sanducci, was a big gambler. He was a big college. He was like a PC guy. He was a big college basketball guy. He would bet 20 games a night. I don't know. Probably the biggest gambler I know was John. Yeah, without a doubt.
What about the flip side?
I mean, John actually used to have a guy when he was brought out of Aqueduct Racetrack, and he actually used to have a guy. He used to meet with a guy, Jimmy Irish, every morning and give him like thousands of dollars, and he would go to the racetrack and bet the races for John. Once he bet the wrong horse, and the horse that John wanted to bet won. He was scared to death. We were in the track and we bet the wrong horse. Oh my God. He was trembling. This poor guy, he was so scared. He thought John was going to kill him. And he was terrified. Yeah, but John just yelled at him and gave him a pass.
Big money? Do you remember what it was for?
Yeah, a couple of thousand. That's before, the internet and before you could bet at OTB. You had to be at the track to bet back then. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Who had the biggest book?
Oh, man, the biggest book. I mean, a lot of guys have big books. The guys around us had big books. Ronnie Cigars, Frankie Mobiles. They had huge books. Probably like the edge off guys like Fritzy, so there was this guy Fritzy Giovanelli. He was a captain in the Genovese family. He had a big sports business, like bookmakers. Not only did he have his own customers, but bookmakers edged off to him, like we edged off to him. You know what I mean? So when you have bookmakers edging off to you, you're pretty big. You know what I mean? Because you got to watch. Back then, it wasn't like today. Today, the algorithms do everything. But back then, you had to pay attention on paper of what's going on. And when you had too much money on one team, you would want to edge it off. And, so them kind of bookmakers were huge edge off guys, I mean, I had brought Fritzy at times 20,000, 10,000, we were edging off to him pretty good.
Tony Soprano was written as having significant gambling problems towards the end of the series. Do you think that was inspired by John Gotti? That's a question.
Maybe. I doubt it. I don't know. Could be. I doubt it.
Definitely an interesting twist for the series.
Yeah. I mean, you got a lot of people gambled. I mean, a lot of wise guys gambled. They shot crap. I mean, they went to Atlantic City. I mean, Nicky Carra, guys around my father, they were big gamblers. They were big crap shooters. Not pretty sports. They bet all kinds of sports and baseball games and everybody. I mean, if you're in the street, you're going to gamble. Some worse than others. Joey Molina is a degenerate gambler. He still talks about it. He'll bet on cockroaches.
Obviously, AC is close. Did you know any gangsters that took the trips to Vegas back and forth?
Oh, all the time. Back in the day before Atlantic City, they had what they called junkets, and you would fly to Vegas for free, and go to they called it junkets. They had travel agents that ran junkets. They used to call them, and they would fly you to Vegas for free or for $50, and and stay at the hotels to gamble. That was part of their comp. I knew a lot of guys that went to Vegas. A lot of people went to Vegas all the time. And then when Atlantic City opened, they all went to AC. I mean, I went to AC. We used to have comp and get to go to all the fights, sit out ringside. I mean, I sat behind Trump once at a fight. You know what I mean? We had great seats. They used to call us up and say, we have 4 ringside seats for you this weekend and a suite at the Showboat. And you're gone. You go there, you lose 10,000, go home. I remember once I was in AC with a whole bunch of wise guys. Was me and Nicky Carrazza and this guy brother. It was straightened out. Nicky, of course, was a captain. Me, Nicky Carrazza, a whole bunch of us. We were in AC and we went to Duran, Roberto Duran against Vinny Pazienza. The second time they fought, I think it was, and we're in AC and we're in like the 4th row, and Trump is in like the 2nd row. But right in front of us, there's 2 guys. And one of the guys tells the other guy, "Oh my God, I can't believe these seats. They're so great. We're in the 3rd row." And he's going on and on about how great the seats are. And then he says to the guy that he's with, he goes, "I can't believe you got these for free." And the guy looked at him, he went, "For free?" He goes, "I lost 40 fucking thousand last night playing blackjack for free." That we were hysterical. We didn't know them. They were strangers. But the way this guy said it, free, we were rolling. It was hysterical.
Amber was asking, outside of the horses, what did John like to bet on most?
Everything. Every sport. Football, basketball, baseball, boxing. He bet on everything.
And then David added he won a $50 Super Bowl bet this past season with your cousin Gene.
Oh, yeah. All right, good. That's good. Yeah. Gene's a gambler. Gene's a big gambler, always was.
Right.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, if you like the content of Reformed Gangsters, please subscribe and ring the bell. Also, please check out my Patreon. A lot of good content, a lot of new content coming on the way. We're keeping busy. Also, don't forget about my merch. Check out my store. Maybe you want to buy a hat, a mug, a shirt. Check it out. I got some really cool Fat Andy t-shirts. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.